Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling my niece that my kids and wife come first and I can't drop everything I'm doing to come to her? I am 34, has a niece who is 16 years old. We were very close as she was growing up because I used to babysit her multiple times. As she grew older, she would spend more time at my home because her parents have different religious views than her, and it would often turn into a huge fight against them, so my home was her safe place where she could be herself. Her coming over as much stopped when I started dating my girlfriend, now wife, who's 28. We started dating 5 years ago and got married 3 years ago. My niece still came over until my wife set boundaries that she didn't want my niece over all the time because she wanted to spend time with me without worrying about a kid, and I agreed with her. I told my niece the new rules and that she could only come over on the weekends because both me and my wife were tired after work and we wanted to spend more time together. That was our schedule until my wife fell pregnant. We were really ecstatic and even more happy when we found out we were having twin girls. The weekends my niece would come over would slowly stop because my wife's pregnancy was very hard on her and we both didn't want any visitors. I would still take my niece out at least once every other week, but honestly my wife was my first priority. Now my wife just gave birth almost 2 weeks ago and my niece recently got into a fight with her parents. She asked if she could come over, but me and my wife both agree that it's too early right now. My wife is very insecure about how she looks, even though I think she looks gorgeous, and she just recently started feeling comfortable around me. I told my niece that it wasn't the best time and me and my wife needed time to settle with the twins, and she ended up crying over the phone that she feels like I've forgotten her and I never have time for her anymore. I ended up telling her that right now the health of my wife and my kids are the priority to me and she needs to stop having fights with her parents and then expect me to drop everything to come to her. She ended up getting quiet on the phone and hung up, but I haven't really messaged her since I've been busy with my kids. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Redditor comments. 1. Gentle, you're the a-hole. You definitely handled it wrong with your niece. It sounds like until a couple years ago you would have welcomed her with open arms at the drop of a hat. If that's what she grew up with and expected, it's going to be hard for her to come to terms with the changes. Your boundaries aren't unreasonable, but there's no need to be mean to her about it, especially because it's not new information that her parents and her don't get along. I also think you probably should have set the expectations of when you thought you'd be ready to have visitors after the twins were born. 2. You're the a-hole. So your question is, Reddit, I've been a bad uncle and a bad friend to my 16-year-old niece. Am I the a-hole? You don't have to spend every waking moment with her, but you were a stable and loving influence in her life and basically just told her you don't have time for her and she is not and will never be a priority. In 2 sentences you ruined what sounded like an important friendship. I get that your time is precious and limited, but why did you have to phrase it so poorly? 3. Not the a-hole. Your niece is probably experiencing the teenage hormones, hence the reaction. I think she needs to address her arguments with her that she always hangs out in your house to run away. Also, good on you for prioritizing your wife and kids. Carrying 2 babies and taking care of them for the first few days is exhausting. Your wife needs all the support she can to feel comfortable. Congrats to you op and best of luck. 4. Not the a-hole for your priorities. That being said, your response could have used some work and ideally you'd have had this conversation with her a while ago that was a bit more kind and soft, along the lines of I'm always going to love and support you. Now that I have a wife and children, we're not going to be able to see each other all the time or when you fight with your parents. Let's think of some ways to support and check in with each other even if you aren't at the house, okay? Your niece is clearly in a toxic home situation. However correct your priorities are, it's probably really hard on her to feel like her support system is being ripped out from under her and being reminded that she's not your priority, even if that's objectively the right move. In a moment where she was feeling particularly vulnerable and needed you probably hurt extra hard. 5. You're the a-hole not for prioritizing your wife and kids but for handling it really poorly. It sounds like she really struggles with her parents and you've been a parental figure for her. She is feeling neglected and probably just needs to know that she is loved, especially if the fighting with her parents is making her doubt that. It sounds like she could really benefit from some support and probably some counseling. However, if the only thing preventing you and your wife from having her over is that your wife is insecure about how she is looking after giving birth, I think you two need to communicate about whether you are both committed to the same values. I understand boundaries, but if your niece is truly in need of a safe place, I think your wife should make an exception. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for outing my BIL in front of the family? My husband and I share a home with my husband's sister, and Sil's husband. We have all lived together for around 3 years and generally speaking, it's actually not bad at all. My Sil is an overnight dispatcher and my husband works construction. I'm currently placed on early leave due to pregnancy complications, 31 weeks, and my BIL has been out of work for months. Money has never been an issue. The home is owned outright and grandfathered into a cheap land tax bracket, so honestly, off one income alone, all bills are covered and then some. Just to paint the perspective of how money is currently not an issue and never has been. The issue is that my BIL has started offering to watch our niece's emotional support pet, not registered, just bought the vest online, while she is at school/work. The dog gets dropped off here at 5 a.m. and is picked up around 8 p.m. It's a small dog with severe separation anxiety and can be quite annoying. She whines if you walk out of her sight. Insists on being held the entire time she's here. She is hardly housebroken. Insists on sticking her tongue down your throat or in your ears non-stop, as she never stops licking. And for the past week, my BIL has been bringing the dog into whatever room I'm in and saying, "Who's that? Go get her." And then walking out of the room, leaving me with this dog that I never agreed to watch, and quite frankly, I'm getting touched out by. I'm starting to become pissed even having the dog in the same room as me due to the behaviors, and I've voiced several times I don't want the dog near me. The dog always ends up back with me, and people here are starting to wonder why my attitude has spiraled to a point of me snapping at everyone. Well, we had a barbecue here yesterday and the whole family shows up. At some point our niece was talking to her dog saying, "Uncle David's treating you good, right? Does the baby get spoiled?" And I piped up with, "Uncle David never has that dog. Uncle David pawns that dog off on me all day long while he sits in his bedroom playing video games." The whole family was standing right there when I said it, and our niece's mother flipped out because apparently she's been paying David $40 a week to watch the dog for them. I'm being told I'm an a-hole and overreacting because you don't have the dog all the fucking time, and made to feel guilty because the dog prefers me anyhow. But more importantly, I'm being shit on because I called David out in front of the family, and now everyone is pissed and calling him a lazy weasel. Redditor comment. 1. Not the a-hole. Who knew that if you don't do the job you are paid to do, the people paying you would be unhappy? Imagine that. He's a lazy weasel. He's pissed off that everyone found out and is now deflecting that onto you. Prick. 2. Not the a-hole. But, you should have probably just said something to David before you burned him. He really has no business pawning the dog off on you or anyone else when he is being paid to watch it. In the moment it can be hard to bite your tongue, but it definitely solved your problem. 3. Not the a-hole. He was getting paid for work he wasn't doing, while already relegating that responsibility to you. It's completely understandable for you to be annoyed at him because not everyone wants to have a dog by their side. However, you should have communicated your issues calmly to both the dog's owner and your BIL before you got to a point where you took your frustration out on everyone. 4. Not the a-hole, but he definitely was getting paid and dumping the dog on you. It's not an emotional support dog. Sounds like a badly socialized and untrained nightmare. If he tries again, get the dog, put it in his room and say no firmly until he takes the hint. Hopefully it never will. Uncle Dave sounds like a leech, not like has to work, so why bother? 5. Not the a-hole. Did it need to be in front of the whole family? No, but that doesn't make it less true. Your niece's mom 100% should be aware David isn't watching the dog, because if she's going to pay someone, it sounds like that should be you. Some people may say there's a time and place for this, and they might be right, but honestly there's no good way to out someone for being a slacker. David should think on that, especially living rent-free. Money may not be an issue, but he's taking advantage of the situation, and especially you. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister I wish I could have a free vacation? I understand the title makes me sounds entitled, so let me explain. One of my sisters loves to travel. Whenever she does, she always lets people know where/when in case they want to go with her. She always foots the bill for anyone who joins her. Why I have never been able to take her up on her offer? 2 reasons. First is that her chosen travel is always, and only, with Viking cruises, which do not allow any guests or passengers under age 18. It's not the kind of cruise you might be thinking of. They are marketed to people 60 plus, focusing on history and culture instead of drinking and partying, but my sister prefers Viking exclusively, even if though she is still in her late 30s. She is perpetually single, never married and childless, so this is not an issue for her. The river cruises she takes are not thousands of people on a big ship on the ocean, and my sister only takes Viking cruises. The second reason is that the cruises are never short or only a week long. They are always ones like 20 days, 3 weeks, a month, etc. Next year she is going on one that is like 25 days long through the Mediterranean and or something. She's a research neurologist and can either take that much time off or do consultations while she travels on the ship. Even if the cruises allowed children, I can't take that much time off work, and neither can my husband, and my kids, ages 5, 7, and 9, can't be off school that long if it's not summer. I probably sound like I'm whining, but I would love for someone to me on a free vacation. But my sister exclusively uses Viking cruises for, and she doesn't ever buy people vacations for themselves that she's not going on. She doesn't have social media and only talks about her trips if you ask her when she gets back, or if she is offering for people who she knows have the time/freedom to go when she is planning. But still, it's annoying to hear about others getting to go with her. I guess I'm just annoyed because I found out about her latest trip today because I heard she's taking my aunt and uncle. I have asked about taking other vacations, but she always says no. When I found out about this latest vacation, I said it would be nice to get a free vacation. She just rolled her eyes, but my mom got upset with me later and said it was uncalled for. It's easy for her to say because my sister has taken my parents on vacation before. It might sound petty, but I'm tired of finding out about free vacations that I can't go on. My mom is still really upset at me, and we argued because she said I was wrong to say what I said. Redditor comments. 1. You're the a-hole. Title makes you sound entitled, rest of the post is even worse. Your sister is an incredibly generous human, and you're literally bitching that she doesn't alter her own personal preferred vacations in order to bring you along on them for free. Do you hear yourself? Has it occurred to you she goes on 18+ cruises because she doesn't want to vacation with the kids you're surely raising to be as whiny and entitled as you are? 2. You sound insufferable. She's not rubbing these trips in your face, she's living her life and enjoying every moment. Be happy for her. You made different choices and you need to learn to be content with what you have, or go look introspectively and make changes. She doesn't owe you a free vacation. Your whining is entitled AF. You're the a-hole. 3. You're the a-hole, with what everyone else said, but I'm going to throw in, not only do you want her to take you on vacation, but you want her to pay for your husband and your kids. Dude, pay for your own vacation and you go anywhere you want. But if you want to go with your sister and have her pay, it's by her terms. 4. You're the a-hole, are you serious? What goes on in your brain that you would expect someone to rearrange their expensive hobby to not only accommodate you, but your husband and 3 young kids, and then pay for it? Holy crap. You're an a-hole for even questioning whether or not you're an a-hole. 5. Yeah, I understand where you are coming from on this, but you're the a-hole here. It's really unfortunate that you can't join one of these trips, but you know exactly what needs to be true for you to go, and you have made other life choices that apparently make that impossible. Viking cruises are really nice, I can understand why she chooses them, and given the frequency with which she travels, she's probably pretty close to feeling like those ships are a second home, and probably knows quite a bit of the crew as well. So it's understandable she would not want to change what she plans, for the specific privilege of being able to pay for you to join her. Is this the only way in which you try to make her feel bad for your life choices?